Gemini, I'm Lou from Empress Blue, and this is your May 2023 reading. Now, let's talk about the astrology of May because it's big and there's a lot going on, and it could be very challenging for a lot of Geminis, particularly because the house that's activated is Taurus season, and so that's activating your 12th house, which is a pretty full-on house to have so highly energized through the month. Now, the 12th house is the house on the higher end of the scale. It's a house of your connection to source, your connection to a higher power, and it's your imagination. So it's where we go to spend that time out and connect with something bigger than ourselves, whatever that is for you, whatever that means for you. But it's also the house of our subconscious mind and what we put in our subconscious. So it can be the house of trapped traumas. It's where we put shame, so a lot of shame and things we're ashamed of, we'll put into the 12th house. Those things that we want to keep private, we don't want the world to see, we keep in the 12th house. So it's also called the house of the undoing. So as you have a lot of energy in that 12th house, a lot of things get undone in your life. So things are removed. There's sort of things, old structures that were there for a long time start to get untangled and crumble and fall apart. So that's the kind of energy that you're dealing with this month. Very private energy. I imagine that you will be pretty low in your energy levels and need to sort of detach and take and spend time to yourself, although we have the 3 of Cups and the environment card signifying that there will be parties and friends around. So it might be that you push through this, and go out and socialize. But if you are feeling you're not feeling it in any way, the recommendation is to sort of step back from the world a little throughout May and to spend some time working on yourself, because this is a period of time. So the 12th house is where we can sort of indulge in escapist behaviors. So those kinds of behaviors where when things are coming up, when trauma's coming up or old woundings coming up or pains, things coming out of the subconscious, out of the unconscious awareness are coming to the surface and start to become conscious, it can be really challenging, it can be really hard. And a lot of people who don't want to deal with that or don't have the skills to deal with that can often engage in behaviors that are not healthy but help to numb that out, help to shut that all down, to bury it. So that we're talking about like drugs, alcohol, any sort of addiction that you may have, smoking, even social media, going out too much so that you don't have to be alone with yourself. That can be something, an escapist behavior. Any behavior really, if it's done for the purpose of not looking at yourself and not addressing these things that are coming up, can be considered escapist behaviors. Now, we have the moon on the bottom of the deck, which signifies that 12th house energy. It's the card of Pisces, and Pisces is ruler of the 12th house. So that's that energy that I was talking about. Now, we've had Uranus and the North Node in the 12th house for a long time. So this is something that you've been dealing with for a long time, particularly in the last 18 months, 2 years, dealing with a lot of digging up that stuff, that stuck stuff, that when you bury something, if you have an experience and it's traumatic and it's or it's had high emotional charge to that experience, and you bury it, so 10 of Swords, it doesn't go away. And that's the thing. That's why people have to engage in these escapist behaviors, because it doesn't go away. It stays there in the unconscious and operates outside of our awareness. So it can sort of control our thoughts and our behaviors and our habits in a way, because we're not aware of it. And so as it comes to the surface and you become aware of it, you have this opportunity to heal the star. You have this opportunity to do something about it. And so if you indulge in escapist behaviors and you push it back down, you just continue that cycle again. So this month, May, is a month where you have the ability to break cycles and break habits that have been happening in your life, things that have been repeating in your life, and things that have, even if it's outside of your awareness, things that have been causing you to feel really sad. And you've come in here with the 5 of Cups energy. There's sad and grief and loss, a heaviness too, 10 of Swords as well. When we're dealing with 12th house energy, it's really about surrendering to the process and surrendering to what's keeping you, what's holding you back. Because this grief and loss that you're coming in here with, that's ready to be healed, and it coming to the surface as it does signifies that it is ready to be healed and integrated and shifted out of your system, so that it's not influencing your behaviors anymore. And as you're doing that work here through this house, if you stop and you do the work that's required, you have a profound opportunity to create some really solid, really amazing steps forward. You know, you've got the Ace of Coins, we've got the 10 of Coins here. So I just want to talk about this center row. We've got the 10 of Swords, we've got the King of Swords, and we've got the Magician. Now the Magician is ruled by Mercury, and this month Mercury is retrograde in that 12th house. Now, it started on April the 21st, and it's going to continue until May the 15th, when it will move direct, but it will continue through that post-retrograde shadow. So for the whole of May, you are under the influence of this Mercury retrograde in the 12th house. Now, the Mercury retrograde in the 12th house is asking you to look at and release toxic thought habits around escapist behaviors, okay? So thoughts and communications and like in a dialogue, your self-talk that is formed and shaped by trauma and shame. But that's what the Mercury retrograde is looking at. It's looking at programs and patterns of thoughts that you keep hidden, or that you're not even aware of. And these are things that are keeping you down. They're keeping you stuck in that trapped trauma, 10 of Swords. Okay, but in the center of the reading, we have the King of Swords. So you have the opportunity to look at this objectively, to pull it up out of your unconscious, make it conscious, and do something about it. Magician, you can change this. Now the Magician, he's magic because he uses his words and he uses his thoughts to create. This is really creative, and the 12th house is such a creative house as well. It's the house of Pisces. It's so creative, and it's the place where we can create a whole world. You know, it's the house of our imagination. This is about using your imagination to create exactly what you want. 10 of Coins, Knight of Cups, King of Cups here. You know, throughout May, your imagination will be your greatest asset. It's going to be the tool that you have to create a reality that you want. And you're coming through 10 of Swords and the Magician, King of Swords and the Magician and the Star are telling me that you will be able to access that healing and those thoughts really easily. It's not going to be difficult for you as long as you surrender to the process and don't indulge in 3 of Cups escapism. That will be your downfall if you do. So because what's happening is on the 17th of May, we have Jupiter moving into that house as well. I told you there's a lot of 12th house activity going on. It's crazy. But on the 12th of May, Jupiter moves in, and Jupiter will be there with Uranus in your 12th house until May next year. So you have 12 months of Jupiter and Uranus together. It's so rare. It's such an amazing opportunity. and you won't get this opportunity again, Gemini. So this is revolutionizing. This is literally a spiritual awakening. It's literally an awakening of your connection to source, of your connection to a higher power, of a new faith. And that's why it's so easy for you. That's why this is so easy. It's going to be easier for you than it's ever been before, Gemini, to shift any trauma, shift any toxic, stored, trapped traumas, hurts, pains, shames. Shame's a big one for you, Gemini, to move that and shift that out of your being so it's not influencing you anymore. And as Gemini starts to speed up through that house, starts to make its way through that house and really like settles there, you'll start to see synchronicities. You'll start to see serendipitous events that happen and blessings. There's suspicious like things that will happen that you'll know that you created that through your imagination, through your connection, your alignment with source. There's no other way, that these things can happen other than through the power of alignment. And as you align and connect into that power, plug yourself into that power through that 12th house, your external world transforms. So you transform from the 4 of coins, of feeling guarded, feeling like you have to protect what you have, your resources, because there's not enough. You move into a 10 of coins, which is like an open, like understanding of universal flow, of universal abundance, and feeling that overflowing abundance that is always available. That there's never a lack. There's always enough and more than enough for everybody. And that's really like, as you start to shift these traumas that have blocked you, you start to open up to more possibilities, and then these synchronicities and serendipities that Jupiter brings to you, you will start to recognize this in your life. And as you're recognizing it, it starts to become apparent in your life. But it's not just on the material level. It's not just material abundance. We're looking at heart abundance too. We're looking at things that make your heart sing and things that make you feel emotionally stable. King of Cups, emotional stability. So this is not just about regulating your environment, it's regulating your emotional state. So you enter here with the 5 of Cups, you're leaving in the King of Cups energy. So with the Knight of Cups as well, there's a big leap, emotional leap in your evolution, in your progression. And the King of Cups is the King of Cups recognizes and understands the purpose of his emotions. And so when he understands the purpose being the language of the soul, the language that your inner being uses to speak to you, so the purpose of an emotion is purely feedback, it's guidance. It's like you have a thought, 10 of Swords, how it makes you feel, it tells you where that thought's leading you to. Is it leading you to a 4 of Coins, or is it leading you to a 10 of Coins? And that's the magic that happens when we're utilizing thoughts and communications to create our reality. And this is what the King of Cups understands. He understands it so well that he doesn't get attached to any emotions. So this is about detaching from emotions, surrendering, releasing, and knowing that you can undo all of this trauma that's happened to you, or all these toxic ways that are holding you back can be undone, because that emotion isn't you. It isn't who you are. It's purely just an indicator. It's a feedback. It's talking to you. It's telling you something. And as you pull back and you observe that from a higher place and from a detached place, you detach from the emotion and you observe it and you recognize the feedback. As you do that, then you become more able to regulate that emotional feedback, because you can adjust, you can make those adjustments, make those improvements that you need to get from the 4 to a 10, or from a 5 to a Knight. You know what you need, the like little adjustments that you need to make to your thoughts. And when you utilize your emotions in that way, they don't need to stay stuck. They don't need to keep talking to you louder and louder and louder. You know, they don't need to get your attention, because you're giving them your attention and you're using them for what their purpose is, and then they can just move through you, and they can move past, and you can just keep moving like in a balanced way through life. And that's what the King of Cups is all about. And that's what I think your lesson will be with this Jupiter in the 12th house cycle that's beginning on the 17th of May and will continue until May next year. I think that by the end of May next year, you'll really understand that healing with the star. We've talked about that. The 12th house is the house of healing. So the 12th house, 6th house axis, and let's talk about that for a second, because we have a lunar eclipse on the 6th of May. Now that's happening in your 6th house, okay? And that is shining a spotlight on all of this 12th house healing. Now the 6th house is the house of healing as well. It's a house of physical healing. It's a more physical house. It's about your lifestyle, your daily habits, your diet, your exercise. It's the physical things we do in the physical world that creates healing or disease in our body. And the 12th house is a spiritual healing. So the 12th house encompasses more of the energetic body and what we need to do to heal that energetic body, which is what I was talking about earlier about traumas and things that get stuck in the unconscious, that get trapped in your body, emotions that get trapped in your body as well. That's what's being healed. You know, this is a profound time. And Gemini, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy to navigate 12th house energy. It's not easy, but look at what's available to you right now. This healing, this powerful paradigm shift, this spiritual awakening that's available. You know, truth again. So truth. So what's being removed through that 12th house undoing is never going to take anything away from you that's not yours, that's not your truth. So if you're clinging to things that are crumbling and you're trying to hold on to them, or if you're shoving them back down and not looking at them, you just keep shoving them down, they stay stuck and they stay trapped and you stay stagnant. Those things are bubbling to the surface because they're not your truth. And so they need to be released. They don't resonate with you and who you are as a King of Cups. They need to be released so you can step into your truth and step into your alignment with who you are as a King of Cups. You've got the inner child. Yeah, so this is, Wombat, the inner child. This is all about, mostly will be about things that happened to you as a child, about your childhood, and about things that got trapped and stuck, and traumas that because you were a child, because when you were a child, you weren't powerful and you weren't strong and you were supposed to be protected, and if you weren't protected and you weren't kept safe, you were powerless to do anything about it, and so you were wounded. And that's how come so many people have inner child wounds, because at some point they weren't kept safe when they should have been, and they didn't have the power to keep themselves safe. And when you don't have that power, you feel powerless, you feel defenseless. Ten of Swords, and it feels unfair and unjust, and that stays stuck. That you carry that through. So there'll be that work to do as well throughout May and the next 12 months. But again, like I said, with Jupiter there, this work will be easy to overcome. Now is the time. Boundaries. Now, isn't that great? What a beautiful card, because the 12th house is the house of boundaries. It's the house that's ruled by Neptune, and Neptune, it's ruled by Pisces being ruled by Neptune. So that's how Neptune ties into this storyline. And Neptune, the whole purpose to Neptune in astrology is to blur the boundaries. So whenever Neptune is active, it's really hard to see the boundaries between yourself and another person, or yourself in a situation, or it also blurs the boundaries between yourself and spirit. So it's like that veil gets lifted and you can enter into that world of spirit and source through your imagination. That's why imagination is so powerful. So with the boundaries here and the inner child card, this trauma was about when people have crossed your boundaries, or when you've crossed your own boundaries. And so that will be another really big thing for you to look at, Gemini, throughout May particularly, but also I mean, even Uranus is going to be there until 2026. So this is a long transit. We're talking about this is developing over many, many years. And this is what you've been dealing with since 2018, but particularly the last 2 years, and will continue to deal with is boundaries. And stepping into your own power to assert healthy boundaries. You know, we can often, when we don't have healthy boundaries, we can swing from having no boundaries at all to having boundaries too strong, and that can create or sort of re-strengthen a lot of trauma, because when you've got no boundaries, people walk all over you, they do more damage. And then you swing into this like toxic boundaries where your boundaries are too firm and people can't engage with you in a healthy way because you push them away, or you know, for whatever reason, with these boundaries. So this is really coming back to creating healthy boundaries, which is a process. When you have not had healthy boundaries, or you haven't been able to maintain healthy boundaries, it's not something you're just going to learn overnight. And that's why these cycles, these big long cycles, are here. So over the next 12 months particularly, you'll be working on learning about boundaries and healing where your boundaries have not been met. There's the Star again. Yeah, so the 5 of Cups. So this healing, there's an opportunity to heal where you've been hurt, where you've lost something that meant something a lot to you, or where, you know, where you're grieving. And it doesn't have to be a person. It could be an aspect of yourself, like a part of yourself that you had as a child that was abandoned, betrayed, shamed. If you were shamed about a behavior or a preference or something as a child, and you carried that shame, you've suppressed that part of yourself, and but you're sad because that part of yourself was something that's beautiful and that you want to express out into the world. And so you're melting those boundaries that are keeping that part of yourself trapped. There's the healing there so that this part of yourself can come back out and play. Yeah, and the 5 of Coins as well. So abandonment. This can be feelings of being rejected, you know, abandoned. And then you've got the Hermit. So that's coming back to the truth. So that's like really what I was talking about earlier, digging deep, going within and finding that nugget of wisdom, or that nugget of who you are, and bringing it back up to the surface. So this part of yourself that's been suppressed, that's ready to come out, that's ready to be healed and be integrated and become a part of who you are now, it's a treasure. The Hermit is about finding inner treasures, and that part of you suppressed it because you were rejected for it, or you were shamed for it, but it's ready to come out because it's actually a really beautiful part of yourself. And it's not that part of you was wrong, it's that person or the people that shamed you for being like that, they were wrong. And when we're children, we don't understand that difference. But so it's time now as an adult to go back to that inner child and to validate it and tell that inner child that you will always love that part of yourself, and that it's okay, you know. That's the big thing that's happening for you in May. And the 3 of Coins, we've clarified by the 10 of Pentacles again here, the Judgment, and the 7 of Pentacles. Yeah, so the Judgment is that ascension, that is that spiritual awakening that I was talking about with Jupiter moving in. And what happens when you can create that level of evolution, that level of growth. So this is huge. This shift that you're about to create is so big that you're literally moving towards 10 of Coins through doing that. And you've got the 7 of Coins here, which means investment. It's investment of energy. Like I said, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take time. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take dedication. And as you dedicate yourself to this new this energetic shift, or this new paradigm that's coming in, you start to move towards a more 10 of Coins type lifestyle, which is the life that everybody wants. You know, it's different for everybody, but it's that life of abundance, of fulfillment, of achievement, of success, or whatever success looks like for you, whatever would make you feel like you've achieved something in this lifetime. You've achieved your purpose, you've fulfilled, you've achieved meaning. That's what's missing at this point, because of this part of you is missing. And you need to bring that out. You need to pull that up and integrate it so that you can be successful. This is the ticket to your success, Gemini. So don't overlook this work. It might not feel like much on the surface because it's a very energetic practice. It's a part of, it's the internal stuff that you're doing. So it might not look like much in the external world. It's not like working hard on a project that you know is going to give you X results. It's the energetic work, but know that through doing that work, it will be reflected back to you in your environment in the long run. So let's get some cards to see what is being reflected to you. What's being reflected to Gemini? What's being reflected to Gemini? Spiritual truth. That one keeps coming out. And again, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about over here with the Hermit and the Star. It's healing, what you're healing and what's being removed, even if it's painful and it's difficult for you at the time, it's not meant for you, because you're meant to be walking in your truth. And I think so many people, this message is coming out for this month. A lot of people are starting to step into their truth, into their power. And for you, Gemini, it's this work on this unconscious level that you need to do. This healing that you need to do, so you can move out of these traumas and they can stop happening to you. You can stop the cycle, break that cycle, and start walking in alignment with your truth. Purification, exactly. You're purifying the unconscious mind. We're removing that. It's like toxic junk that is just holding you back, and this is a spiritual purification that you're doing, so that you can move forward towards this 10 of coins. These toxic traumas, it's time for them to go. It's time for them to go. So, like I said, don't avoid the work. We've got the middle road. The middle road meaning walking, that's what I was saying about it not being like obvious on the outside. This is sort of a really internal practice. So it's not going to be like, bang, there's massive things going to happen in your life. And most people around you might not even notice that there's any difference. There's this inner shift within you where you create more harmony within and you start walking more aligned. And as you integrate the damage that's been done and you heal it and shift it, then you can start walking stronger and walking that middle road towards success, So it's not necessarily that the success might not be obvious in May, is what I'm saying. But on May the 21st, we start Gemini season, right? So things will start to shift at the end of the month anyway, and we'll start to shift into your season and your sign, and it will be coming up to your birthday, and so you can start to, that undoing and that trauma, like that crumbling, will become less obvious to you as you move through to the end of May and into June, into your birthday. And that's your reading for this month for May, Gemini. And I hope that helps you to understand what's happening, because it is such a big month as well. So I hope that helps. I really appreciate you coming on this journey with me and allowing me to be a part of your spiritual journey. And I hope to see you again in June. Thank you.